Sophia, so I really like that. Sophia means wisdom in Greek. And what the writer is saying that in the beginning God created Sophia, wisdom. So this one who was with God from the beginning has a feminine part. Okay, let me unload this here. And he says that Sophia, this wisdom, is righteous and upright and well, we can have a look at this and see Jesus. Okay. And it says that wisdom is better than rubies, and by wisdom kings reign and princes rule, and the most debated verse in all the Bible is right here in Proverbs chapter 8. As a matter of fact, Arius, who was a theologian back in the 4th century, said that Jesus did not be parallel to God because, after all, he was created by God. Jehovah's Witnesses still believe this to this day, but this came in the 4th century. He says that he's even called Son. Who are they talking about? Many theologians believe they're talking about Jesus before the incarnation. The confirmation class learned about what these words are. Incarnation. And many believe that this was talking about Christ before he took on his human form in the person of Jesus Christ. God and Jesus were involved in creation. Hence, Jesus' equality with God. Jesus is the ultimate in wisdom and truth. And it seems that John, the gospel writer, had this verse or this passage in mind. He wrote, "In the beginning was the Word," or the Logos. The Word was with God, and what? God was the Word. John was rewriting Genesis. He was rewriting or retelling the creation story. And he refers to Jesus Christ not as Sophia or wisdom, but he refers to him in another concept. He refers to Jesus Christ as the Logos or the Word. In the beginning was the Word, or like the proverb, the writer of Proverbs was, in the beginning was Sophia, and he was equal with God, and he was with God. And he created the whole world. It was in Proverbs 8:12 that we discover that wisdom in the Old Testament, Logos, or the Word in the New Testament, dwells with us. He actually becomes our Emmanuel. And in verse 12 of Proverbs 8, there's a Greek word that is kataskino, which means skinas, which means tabernacle or tent. God, the Creator, doesn't leave, he rather cleaves. You know, a few weeks from today, we're going to celebrate Father's Day, right? That's around the corner, right? The problem with fathers that we have today is we have too many fathers who are abandoning their children. God the Father never ever abandons his children. God is the ultimate Father who never leaves his children. The Greek word in the Old Testament in Proverbs chapter 8 tells us that God kataskino, he makes his tent with his people. He doesn't leave, he cleaves. There's a story of a young Native American boy who was being trained by his father. So like any good father, right, he taught him how to fish and hunt and how to wrestle in the wild and how to build a fire and how to be a good warrior. And then this father says to his son, he said, "Son, here comes the ultimate test." He says, "I'm going to leave you for the evening. And all of the things that you learned from me, you're going to apply, but I will not be here with you." So the father walks off and leaves his son alone in the woods. The young man became scared. He wished that his father could turn back and take him back home. He actually was a young man. He didn't have any real tools, and it got very cold, and you could hear the coyotes in the background, and wondered if he could go back home, but he knew that if he went back, he wouldn't pass the test, he wouldn't be a warrior. He didn't want to disappoint his dad. Throughout the night, he wished his father was there. But he knew that if he went back home, he wouldn't pass the test. He wanted to actually be a warrior like his dad. And the hours seemed like days, and the minutes seemed like hours. Finally, there came a light. And behind a tree, his father came and walked towards him. And he said to him, "Son, the test is over. The trial is over. You're a man now. You're a warrior." To which the little boy cried to his dad and said, "Dad, I only wish you were with me throughout the night. I was scared. I was cold and I was hungry and wished you were here with me and that you never, ever would turn your back on me." To which the father said to his son, "I was here the whole time. I was behind that tree all night watching you." God is like that Native American father. Never leaves us. He's not far. He's right here in our midst. So, when it seems God isn't doing anything, He's standing by our side. God sees our pain and He sees our sorrow. There were 2 British women the other day that became heroes. One would be a 48-year-old mother. They were confronted. Actually, they confronted 2 terrorists that had just hacked and butchered to death a young British sailor who returned from Afghanistan. He was on liberty walking the streets of South London when he was viciously and brutally hacked to death in a quiet street of London. One mother, a 48-year-old, at the risk of her own life, approached the men. He still had blood on their hands and blood running through, falling off their knives after they murdered this young sailor. He said, "Why are you doing this?" The other woman took the sailor who was dead and prayed for him. She said later that all she could do was say a prayer for him and stand by his side. When it seems that God isn't doing much, He's there. He's standing by his side. God sees and feels our pain. He's the God who stands beside us and prays for us. Like Sly and the Family Stone, it's a family affair. And in the Trinity, we still have real family that cares for us. God is our Father, and Jesus Christ is our older brother and we have each other, surely it's a family affair. And all of God's people said, Amen. At this time, the usher will wait.